This is Graham from .easy Customer Care, welcoming you back. We're in part 2 of our video for showing you how to set up a basic web page using a template. Now last time we showed you basically a couple different ways to find templates, get them up and running, and get it actually up onto your server so that you do have something up there. Sure, it doesn't have content yet, but it's at least a placeholder page, got something up there. So now we're going to show you how to take that template that you have, make a couple changes to it, get that back up there so that you have something to actually work with. You have a much more fleshed out site. Now we're just going to get not a full site going, but we're going to show you all the basic functionality of how to do it so that you're going to be comfortable working with it and actually getting up more content itself. So you can add more links, you can add more anything. Now for this you can really use any kind of a website editor program. In this case we're actually going to be using Dreamweaver just because we enjoy working with it a little more. And in terms of ease, it is quite simple because it is more graphically based. It does give you full access to the source code as well for those of you who are more on an intermediate or advanced level and are okay or comfortable working with that. So you do get the kind of the best of both worlds. You can be lazy, use the graphical interface, or if you're not sure of how to do the code, the graphical interface is what you're aiming for. That's what you want. You can just as easily use anything else. I mean, there is front page expressions. There is, you can still use iWeb for Mac is still out there, even though they don't support it, it is still available and you can still use it. So you do have a lot of choice. And I mean, you can even go as basic as Notepad. Any text editor is good to go. So if you still got your actual programs all set up from last time and everything you've downloaded from before, what you're looking for is you're looking to get the actual folder up first of all, just to make sure you have those files still there on your computer. Now this isn't the ones on the server, this is the ones on the computer we're going to be working with. Because once we make any changes to them, we're going to be uploading them back to the server and overwriting what's previously up there. Now this is done a couple ways for this. Now the first is, namely, you have a backup of your original thing. You probably still have the zip file, so you have that backed up anyway. But before you ever make any kind of changes from here on out, make sure you have a backup. Now this is namely in case anything happens, regardless of whether it's you, regardless of whether something happens anywhere else, hey, you're going to be able to put everything back up. So do make sure you save after you've done work. Make sure you do have that backup to fall back on, so that way if you can play with it to your heart's content, you can completely break it and not have any cares in the world. So in this case here, you will have had the copy online, so that's backed up, and you've got the copy on your computer, and you can always download again if you really need to. So that's kind of the basic place to start. Now in this case here, we've already got Dreamweaver open. We're actually just set up here. This is basic opening screen. It's asking you what you want to do. In this case here, you can select any kind of thing for create new, any kind of new features, but we're not going to really work with that because we've already got the one set up. So in this case here, we want to go to where it says open. It's going to ask you where you want to go. Now we've already got this set up defaulted to look into our business template where we want to set it. So this is where you can go ahead and make sure you do go there. Now depending on what operating system's going to depend what these are, but typically it's going to be here in your downloads folder. So go to documents and downloads. Or if you installed it somewhere else or downloaded it somewhere else, go there. You want to find it. You want to get to your index page, and you want to select that and just open it up. So Dreamweaver is going to pop open the thing we've got here. If you're using a different website editor, it should look the same. You're going to see different menus and everything, but for the most part, you're going to have your page open. Now, as you can see here, this is the page we showed you last time, the exact same template and everything. Now, as you can see, there's a bunch of yellow boxes, white boxes, basically outlining separate things that have already been set up in the template and what's here. Now, for this, your website program is going to differ a bit. Dreamweaver gives us a nice bunch of control here in design mode. So, I mean, you can click on anything and it's going to highlight what you're looking at it, give you a bunch of easy overlay buttons to work with. Very, very simple. Even going down to the menu, it allows you to actually type in and change what's there. You can even click to set this somewhere else. So you do have a lot of freedom here. You can even click on an image and easily replace it rather than get the whole thing done. And you don't have to do most of this by hand. It's got this little bar at the bottom with the properties, which normally you'd have to hand code this in, which is quite nice if you want to quickly change anything. So this is the basic kind of layout. Normally it's going to be a point and click style thing. Now, as we mentioned before, Dreamweaver does give you access to the source code. You can actually change this at the top left corner here by going to where it says code. As you can see here, now for those of you who aren't familiar with source code, this is going to look like absolute gibberish. And hey, that's okay, not to worry. If you don't care about this stuff, then it is absolute gibberish, not to worry about. For those of you who like looking at the source code or even want to take a look at what it looks like, this is what it all is. Now, it's going to have line numbers, which is really helpful, especially if you're trying to troubleshoot, especially with errors. Line numbers are your best friend. You're going to have a little bit of color coding as well, so that's going to help. Easy way to identify where something opens, closes, what's text, what's a tag, all these different things. So this is where you can look at it. Now those of you who kind of want to see what it looks like on both sides, you can go to the split section at the top here, and this gives you the best of both worlds here. So you're going to have the actual design mode, you're going to have the code editor itself, so you can get right into the source code, so you can kind of do everything here. And now it does have a live version as well, so you can switch in and actually see what the changes are like online. Now this is going to show you based off your computer, so if you go check your website, you're not going to see these until you actually publish them. Just make sure you are aware of that. So if you do something live, make sure that you're aware that it is on the computer. You need to get everything onto the server first before it's going to look live. Additionally, one other note which kind of happens sometimes, do make sure you are quite aware of anything naming scheme wise, so try and keep everything in the same naming sense. Lowercase is a great idea. Try and avoid spaces if you really need to use an underscore, which is the line across the bottom. The reason for this is servers typically are very precise, so they will treat a capital and a lowercase as differently. So an index starting with the lowercase I and an index starting with capital I, those are two different files. One of them is going to show up on your page, one of them is not by default. So that's just an example here of what this looks like. So we're just going to make sure you have that out there, because in Windows doesn't really care about the one way or the other. It'll actually treat them as the same if it can't find one or the other. So this is an example why it may work in the live version for you, but may not if you put this onto the server. So that's just one thing to watch out for, and a good idea all around to keep some kind of general naming scheme so that it's really easy to get into it and work with it. So as you can see here, we've got this set up as both the code and design. We're going to go to design here just because we're trying to set up a very easy site to do anything. So as you can see here, we've got our header, we've got our top menu or bottom menu, and a bunch of pictures. Now a lot of you may ask, what's the point of two menus? Honestly, there's no real reason why there needs to be two menus. You can easily do one menu, you can easily do two. It's 100% up to you. General functionality of why you may have two, which is why we kind of chose this one, is normally the top menu across, or well, the top, as redundant sound, but normally the top menu is looked at as the actual menu for the entire site, whereas a menu down the left or the right hand side is generally going to be referred to as a page menu. So this is why you may break it up so that you can jump to specific sections in your page, or maybe have a bunch of content that you'll only want accessible from that page. Really, it's 100% up to you, the way the website works, looks, and everything about it. All 100% up to you. So in this case here, let's say we've got home, we've got about, we've got back. We're actually going to change this typo in the contact because it looks nicer that way, because it's a little funny watching the typo there. But anyway, that's just, again, an example of how easy it is to change. I mean, we just clicked, pointed, typed, and bang. Our menu now has a different thing. So as we mentioned before, you do want to make sure to save it. So I mean, anytime. This is really redundant right now because we just made a change, but make sure you do save often, constantly, just so if you do something by accident and you can't undo it, go to edit and undo all the way to it's back again, you've got that backup just in case. Make sure you are confident that everything you have on a page is of course saved. Very, very important. So here we've got home, about, fac, and contact. I mean, home is a great thing to have. You're going to have that on just about any page. This is just to get them back to whatever your home page is, whatever you want them to first see whenever they type in your domain name. So like www.example.com, hey, that's going to be your home page. The about page you want to have as well, because this is going to explain a little bit about your business, about your page, about maybe even you yourself if you want to do a personal page. So it's very important to have that as well. The contact page is another important one because you want them there so that they can get access to you whenever you want them to, whether it's through email, whether it's a contact form. Really, the sky's the limit. If you're looking for anything to set up for contact, you can either set a bunch of files yourselves, like an email address. If you're looking for contact forms, we do have web apps that can set that up for you. We do have two forms. We have an email form, or we have one that collects data. So, I mean, if you need help with that, we can easily set that up for you. You'll find that within your member zone. So it's there as well. The fact page, generally speaking, you're not going to need this. This is more of something you're going to have hidden away somewhere else, or maybe if you're having some kind of like a wiki style page, maybe you're going to need it. In this case here, we don't really need it for a business site, so we're actually just going to erase that. And as you can see there, all we did was backspace a couple, and there you go, it's gone. Now you've got nice 3 menus. Again, we're going to go to this one on the side here. We can get rid of this as well. And there we go. The fact page is now gone off both menus. Really simple, really easy, not all that hard to do itself. Now for this here, we've kind of set up a basis for what we want the menus to be. Again, you can customize as far as you want. We're just showing you examples here, very simple. So for this here, we've now got our basic. So what I did was I saved this, as you probably want to do as well. And this is what you're like, okay, this is my basic layout. Now the content within the page, this doesn't really matter for the most part. As you can see, it's just the default set of script here, which you're going to find anywhere, whether you're in WordPress or anywhere else. A little bit of Latin if you enjoy reading it or can read it. I mean, there it is. For this here, you can also go through and you can change, really, like we said, anything on the page. You can go through and get rid of an image. In this case, we're going to pick this bar graph. So you can see you can right click on it, get a whole bunch of settings here. I mean, you're going to get a lot of help here, but this is more if you're coding or familiar with Dreamweaver. If you're not so sure, this is your first time using it, or you just don't like working with all this extra code, or you don't want to understand it, not to worry. You can actually go down to the bottom here where it says source. This is the actual source of the image, and you can see it's already going to images/image1, and it's saying, hey, this is the first image, this is where it's coming from. So you can go ahead and click on point to file, and this will actually show you where the file is, but we're more interested in actually finding a different image. So we're going to go to browse here, and as you can see, it's got the 3 that we've already got in the default folder. Here you can go and pick any kind of image you want from anywhere you want. I mean, it's all the way up to you. So at the top here, we're going to go to look in. And here you can see anything you really want. You've got all your default folders. In this case, we're going to go ahead to where it says libraries, and we're going to go into our pictures, which is where we've just stored the default pictures. So as you can see here, we just dropped the home banner in. And as you can see, this is one of the dangers of any kind of picture or anything you're going to do. It's going to screw up the layout, which is one thing you need to be very, very aware of with any kind of template. So you do have to try and keep in mind that anything you do, you want to try and keep to a reasonable level. See, because even if we shrink this down, now it works a little bit, but as you can see, it's not really working there the way we want. So that's fine. So we're just going to go ahead and get rid of that. And as you can see, we can just go there. Now, for those of you who are wondering what I did, I just actually hit the shortcut key for how to undo. You can go to actually edit at the top, and you can click undo and get back to what you want. It just Control Z, or if you're on a Mac, it's Command and then Z, and this will go through and get that back. So that'll get us back to where it is. So do keep in mind that it is very, very important that you keep in mind images and the layout you chose, because although you can set it up all yourself, if you want to get it the easy way, you want to try and get that done. So for this here, you can really do anything you want. If you actually highlight over like I just did, you're going to see a little more about where all the breakups are. So these are all the different boxes. So you can see there's kind of a logo here in the top left. There's the heading in the middle. So if you want to fit any kind of image on the page, you need to keep this in mind, as it is very important, because this is the way the page is actually designed. Now, depending on your template, you may have a little more freedom than others, and naturally it's going to look a little different, but it is 100% up to you how you want it. So as you can see here, you can really change anything. So this says business solutions. We're just going to change this so it's now a business site. I mean, really, the sky's the limit for you. Now for this one here, what we're going to do is we're going to try and just remove a bunch of the content. So as you can see here, we're going to get rid of that. And what we're going to do is we're going to be putting in some other content. Now, if you want to put in anything, you can go to insert at the very top. In this case, we're going to insert an image. So we want to select that banner we removed earlier, and we're going to put that back in. Now, one thing it's going to ask you here is alternate text. Now, a lot of you may say, what's this junk? Why do I need this? Now, alternate text is there in case the image doesn't load up for whatever reason, in case, say, it doesn't work in the browser, the image is in the wrong folder, or it's just not there in general. Now, it's not required at all, but it does help so that someone can have an idea of what it is. It is not that important, but it does play a little bit into SEO, because when they're crawling through the site, they'll look at the text quickly to have an idea of what the image is, because they generally don't want to actually download the image and view it and try and categorize it. It's just a simple, well, it's not simple, but it's an algorithm, it's a program that's doing all the crawling through your site for SEO, so you do want to keep that in mind to try and keep it in. So in this case here, we're just going to call this .easy banner, because I mean that's really the picture we want. You can really put in anything you want. You can, like I said, put it empty. In this case here, we're actually just going to call it whatever we want. We're going to call it banner in this case, just to shorten it a bit so it is easier. You can have a long description, which is where the actual file link is if they want to put it in. In this case, we're not going to put that up there just because we don't have the banner online. We're just doing an example. So then once you're ready, you want to go ahead and click on OK. And as you can see here, it puts the actual banner in. And again, we need to resize it a bit because it broke our template. But that's again to be expected anytime we make any kind of a change. It's not going to be too happy with it. So you do need to work with it a bit. You do need to have that and keep that in mind. It's really, there's no way to avoid breaking it. So that's just an example of how to get that back in there. And as you can see here, we've gone ahead and we've got it back up and running. So now we've got this with the banner. Now what we're going to do is we're going to save this again. We've removed some of the text. In this case here, we're going to just add a bit of text in the bottom to show that we've got this here. So we're just going to select it, backspace it, and this is a test site image. Alrighty, so here we go. We got our basic layout. Now, normally you're going to have a lot more content in here. You can certainly add more pictures or anything else, but for a basic setup, we're just going to keep it like this. Now, this is what we're going to call our version of the template, which means we've taken what we wanted, we've made changes to it, and we're deciding this is what we want the rest of our website to kind of look like. So we're going to use the basis for this as all pages. So what you want to do at this point is, now that you've made sure to save the changes, you want to go to the actual folder on your computer where you've downloaded this to. In this case here, we've got this just set up under downloads. And now it's going to have the index page there. That's the one we've been working on changing. So all you want to do is you basically want to select this file. You want to go ahead and make a copy of it. And we double click by accident, but that's okay. So once you've made a copy, you want to paste it here again. Now it's going to call it index copy, but you can go ahead and you can title this whatever you want. It's naturally not going to let you call it index again because you've already got that file here. So what we're going to do is we're going to call this the contact page. And really you can call it any type you want. It is important to make sure that you leave it as a .html file so that it is workable online. You can use it as .html, .htm, doesn't really matter that much between the two. But you do want to make sure it's one of those general formats. Now for this one here, you want to make sure that you name it something you're going to remember, and generally something you want it to link up to. So in this case here, we just called it contact because we're planning to actually link this up to our contact page. So what we're going to do here is we've got our contact button here, and at the top you can see, or sorry, the bottom, it's going to show here that it's part of the class top menu. This is not going to mean much to you. What this is basically a bunch of rules that are in the CSS file, which actually stands for cascading style sheets, and you can actually see in the top right here you've got the information. So you can show just the current one, and this is going to show you kind of where it's functioning. For those of you who aren't too familiar with code or too happy with it, working with it, you just for the most part want to ignore it. For those of you who enjoy working with it or maybe want to tweak it a little bit so it looks differently, that's where you're gonna go. Now we're not gonna really muck around with it too much here because that's more just playing around with styles and everything, and it's very easy to break the site doing that. You have to have a really good kind of idea, especially when you're working with exact values. Like you can see here, they're done to very specific pixel values, so it's gonna have very, very specific ones. Now what we're doing here is we've got the contact one, which is, like we said, this is what we're going to be changing. Now down here you can see where it says link. This is asking you where you want this to go. In this case here, it's just linked to go straight to the index page. And for this here, what we're going to do is we're going to change this to go to the contact page we just did. Now this is very important to keep in mind. Down here under the link section, this will only work if you type it in correctly. Now we've just got contact.html set up here because it's in the same folder. And just to kind of reinforce you or show you that, the index page and the contact page are in the same location. Because of that, we can just shorthand it and we can just do contact.html. If, for instance, we set up contact in this images folder, then you would actually need to type the word images followed by a slash in front of contacts to have it show up. So do make sure that if you do have a larger site or you're looking to categorize it that, which there's no harm in that. Actually, it's a good idea if you do have a larger site, because it's going to have a nice naming scheme. People are going to your site, are going to have a better idea of what's going on. So it's a good idea to go for it. But if you do that, it is critical that you make sure your names are all correct and everything is set up to point to the right one. Otherwise, you're going to get some 404 pages showing that, hey, my page isn't showing, it's not found. So you do want to make sure it is very critical. So we've got it set up there. We've now got this pointing to the contact section, as you can see down here. So if we ever go to this, it's going to go ahead and show this. So we're just going to go through and we're going to save this again because we made changes what we want. Now for this here, you can also go back to the code section, and you can see here that things that have been added are all there. You can take a look into this and see what it's like. So it is really up to you where you want to go and what you want to do with this. You can really set up anything you want. Now, as you can see here, where we just changed is actually this section here in the code with the contact. So for those of you who are interested in learning HTML or just kind of wondering what it looks like, we're just going to do a quick little breakup for this. So as you can see here, we showed you before, it was called the top menu. So this is actually saying this is the divider. It's got the class top menu. So this is where it's going into. This stands for, it's a list, in this case an unordered list, and this stands for list item. A little technical for some of you, I know, but we're just kind of giving a basic thing so you get a better idea of what's going on. So as you can see here, it's asking for an href. Now this is actually the reference to the hyperlink or the page that you're doing. In this case here, the one we just did, this is where it is. So this is the actual contact menu link where you actually type in contact, and this is where we want it to go. So that's, again, a little more over the top. Maybe some of you want to know, but we felt that if you're interested or if you want to look at it, this is what it actually looks like. Now you can also see, because there is the second menu down here that is different because we only changed the one menu, so that's something to keep in mind. So that's just an example of what it looks like, and that's what it is set up here. You can go into the split design and make changes as you want, but for the most part, that's the difference between the two, and that's kind of what they are. If you're looking to set up or learn how to do the coding side of things, again, we suggested last time to go to W3 Schools. You can Google it, easily get there. It's a good place to start out, and it's where most professors of even college level will tell you where to go. So I mean, it is a good place to start out. It's going to give you a good idea. Now in this case here, we've made all the changes we want in Dreamweaver. What we're going to do is we're going to try and show this online. Now you can go through the live section. In this case, we're not going to go to the live section within Dreamweaver because we want to show it's actually working on a site first of all, because that's the true test it's working. You can show it's working on your computer all you want, and we definitely encourage you to try. In this case, we know that we haven't made that many changes, so it's not really required. And namely, we want to see and make sure that it works online to make sure and guarantee that it is 100% working. So what you want to do is you want to go back to your trusty FTP program. In this case, because we've got Windows open, we've got FileZilla set up here, and that's great, easy, free one to use. If you're on a Mac, you may want to use CyberDuck. In Dreamweaver itself does have its actual own FTP program. Now, if you set up your entire site in Dreamweaver, it's a better idea to go through that way because we've kind of only been opening up different files and editing them. You may want to just use a different FTP program to make it a little easier for you. Now in this case here, we've gone through and we've already connected. Now what we're going to do is we're actually going to connect again, just because as you can see here, this only reflects the files we had before. You can either just connect again by clicking Quick Connect with your information up there, or you can actually just click on this little icon here. This symbol means that it's going to go to the folder above it. So we can click on that, and then if you open up business templates again, you're going to see the changes are there. It will always reflect that. So in this case here, you can see we have the contact page, the index page, and we can see over here we've got everything already set up, so we're connected to our server. Now it is really important to make sure to go to the root of the server. Now although you may consider this the actual server root, this is just going to have a whole bunch of files and folders you really don't want to touch because it's going to break your site and services through .exe, and it's going to require us to go ahead and reset it. So you definitely don't want to touch anything. You want to go to public_HTML. If you're on our older Ensym servers, you're actually going to see a main website_HTML folder instead, and that's the one you want to go to. Once you've opened it up, you're going to see all your different ones here. As you can see, there's a bunch of test folders as you saw last time, as this is just one of our testing accounts that we use for it. So you can see the index file and all the other files are there for last time. So what we're going to do is we're just going to highlight everything that we did last time. We're going to go ahead and load this up here and just put this quickly on the server. It's going to ask you if you want to overwrite it. So in this case here, we're just going to click overwrite because we're okay with it. We really know what we're doing. Make sure you are quite aware if you ever do come up with this overwrite one. We're just going to click always use this action because we're quite familiar with it. We know that we're overwriting files that don't matter. It is very important though, so just make sure to maybe not check where I did here always use this action, as that's just going to go through everything without asking. So if you want to make sure, you can check each one. We're just going to go through this because it's faster, gets everything taken care of. So for this one here, you're going to see successful transfers are up there. We're going to see here also that it successfully did everything it's told to and has gone back to the directory. And we can see namely that the contact page that wasn't there before is definitely on the server. So this is an indication that it all went through fine, there wasn't any problems. So now that we've done that, what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and open this up, and we're going to take a look at our page. If we can spell it properly this time. So now that we got it there, we can see that it's pulled up the default page. Now, because it's probably caching it, we're just going to quickly tell it to load it without caching it, and hope for the best here. There we go. As you can see here, we've now got this open, and it's all set up and good to go with the site. So you can see home, about, contact. Now what you can see here is if you look in the bottom left corner, it's not up here right now, but there's an actual little link here, and it shows that you've got your basically where it's showing to. So you can see it's going to the index page. Again, the index page. If you go to contacts, it's showing you that it's now going to the contact page itself. So this is nicer. Now, one thing here is, as we mentioned before, we didn't actually upload that picture to the server. So that's why instead of that .exe banner you saw us put up, you just see this word banner, because that's the actual text we said. And that's the reason why it is important to put that there, just in case it doesn't show up. We can easily upload that at any time we want. And that's just kind of an example of why you do want to make sure all the files and everything are up there and everything's good to go. So what we're going to do is we're going to show you that, hey, all these are going to the index page. So if you click on any of these, they just go right back to the same page. Nothing really changed. If you go to the contact button though, you're going to see it goes to the contact page instead. And you can really get this to go anywhere you want. Now, in this case here where we've got it looking the same, you're not going to see a difference. But one thing you can actually check is the address bar at the top. As you can see here at the very, very top, it now shows we're on the contact.html page. So if you go to home, if you go to about, you can see it's all switched back to the index page. So they are actually different pages. Now this is the basic way you can get a template set up. Now whenever you have any kind of a template set up, this is what you're going to be using on any site and then customizing. So at this point here, the next step would be to go through and actually change it. So you can set up anything you want. Now what we're going to do now that we've showed you it's up here is we're just going to make the pages look a little different so that you do have some kind of an example. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to design mode just to keep this simple and easy. We're going to go down to the text. And before we said this is a test site, what we're going to do is we're going to say this is a test site, but this is the home page only. And for this one here, now we've got something different. So we're going to go to save again, show that we've saved the changes, we're okay with this. We're going to go back to our FileZilla because we don't need to worry about looking where the file is. And we again just want to quickly go back up, go back down, so we refresh it. We know we've got the newer version site. And this time here, we're just going to go to the index file itself and click upload. Now, because we already told it last time to save and use overwriting with all actions, it overwrote it automatically. If you didn't choose that, it's going to ask you to overwrite again. Just make sure you do that. And again, make sure you are sure you're overwriting to the right file and the right location, just to save yourself any grief and anguish later. So now that we've got that set up again, we're going to go check our site again, like we did before. So you can see it looks about the same before. We're actually on the Contact Us page. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the home page. Now you can see at the bottom here, it's now changed this. This is a test, but this is the home page only. If we go back to Contact, you can see it says this is a test site image. So now you can see, yes, we have got two files up there. It's very easy to make changes to any kind of the content. You can easily remove any kind of images you don't want and really set it up any way you want. Again, all the template is doing is it's giving you a quick and easy way to set up a site. You can get more professional looking templates, you can get more fun templates, you can get ones catered to something like photography, get them set up to pets, businesses, really anything. They're all out there. Even ones set up to like gaming or any kind of a clan site if you're into that. So you can really set up anything you want for this. It is quick, it is very easy to set up. Again, our basic hosting is great for this. It's just pay for the domain and we give you basic free hosting for as long as the domain is actively with us. So it is a good deal. It sets you up with something you can very quickly and easily use. If you're having trouble with uploading, if you have any quick questions about kind of how to set it up, or maybe something's not working for you, you're not loading up, like say if the banner came up here and you're not seeing it like when we didn't upload it properly, we can easily help you and walk you through that. As we've worked extensively with web pages, you can see we've created our own .easy page. Quickly here, we have our own .easy page. We work with WordPress and other things. So you can easily get us to help you if you do need any extra help above and beyond this. Now, if you are wanting to make a lot of extensive contact changes, you want to make sure to do that yourself, because context is really important and it is really up to you to make that. But if you're having any questions about layout or something quickly, don't hesitate to contact us. But also you want to definitely do a Google search or look online, because a lot of people are making web pages. They do have ones, guides, extensive. They are very nicely out there. They're from starting at the basic level, going up the way up to the advanced level. So it is very quick and easy to set up and something there to go. So it is up to you, mainly free things to go. Now, if you're not comfortable here, because as you can see from what we're changing, it does require some knowledge of how to set up pages. You may need to go into source code if you want to set up anything fancy. Or maybe you don't like the way the templates go, or you don't like working with Dreamweaver or something. In that case, then you probably want to lean towards either WordPress or Joomla. And the reason for that is, even though Dreamweaver is quite nice and does have a graphical interface, you do still need some level of coding. Whereas if you use Joomla or if you use WordPress, these are called content management systems, or CMS for short. Now, these ones are more set up specifically to help you get a page going with little to no actual coding required at all. So they're very graphically oriented. So you may find that a lot easier and a lot nicer to work with. There are, again, templates for those, and templates for those are a little different to set up. And the reason we're saying that is because templates for WordPress and Joomla are set up by individuals specifically for that version. So you need to make sure to check the version, check the uploads. But it's a little more complicated. Now, we are going to show you how to set those up at a later date with other videos, so don't worry about that if you are looking into that. And you can certainly play around with this and work with this, and if you decide it's not for you, then you can always wait for those. Now, one other thing we're going to show you here, now that we've kind of given you an explanation, you can decide whether you want to work with this or not, is one of the more important things to go with, and that's what's called SEO. For those of you who don't know what it's shorthanded for, it actually stands for Search Engine Optimization, and it is important because this is going to affect your ranking. Now, your ranking determines, if someone types in something in Google, how likely your page is going to appear at the top. Now, this is its own field of study and it's quite extensive, so there's no way to quickly sum it up here. But an easy way to think about it is there's a lot of little things you can do to your site, and you can easily get it set up to try and help yourself higher in the list. Now, naturally, if you have something a little more odd that you're working with for your page, or more unique, you're going to have a better chance of getting out there. If you're using something quite common for your page, it's going to be a little more rough there, but as your page develops, more people go to it, as you get more links, more people in and out, these are all things that can help get your page up there. Now, one great and basic way to start with is by updating and changing what are called the meta tags. Now, there's a lot of ways to do meta tags. Those of you who use our website Creator have known that you can set up meta tags through there as well, so it is quite easy to set up. Now, one thing that's going to be a little different here is within Dreamweaver and other things, they generally don't have a specific section for the meta tags. They'll help you quickly enter one, of course, but to actually change or make any changes to it, you're going to have to actually go into the code itself. So in this case here, we're going to go back to the code editor. We can see we're going to scroll to the top, because meta tags themselves are typically always done within the header. Now, as you can see here, there's a basic meta tag itself. And for this one here, just saying, this is you're gonna find in basically every type of page. This is just saying basically it's a text style web page, and it's using a specific character set. If you're using it for different languages, your character set's gonna be different, but this is pretty similar. So this is gonna change. So what we're gonna do here is we're just gonna add a line. we're just always going to take a brace, and as you can see here within Dreamweaver, it's going to show a basic list. I moved the mouse unfortunately, so it got rid of the list, but just to bring it up here, it's going to show, so you can actually search through here for whatever kind of one you're looking for, and it's got a lot in here, so it's going to be really easy for those of you who aren't going to looking. You can actually just start to type it in and we'll get a little more. So in this case here, we're going to start with the meta tag. So what you want to do is you always want to start with an open tag here. It actually closed it out, and what it's going to do is there's two ways of doing this. Now you can either go with an open and close tag, just kind of like we're done here. So an open tag, I added it in there when it didn't need to. But for this one here, you can go with two different styles. You can go with the open and close tag here, which basically the open tag will always be just open and close braces with just meta or whatever type of tag you're using, and then there's a closed brace as well. Now this one here is more if you're going to put a lot of content. In this case, we're going to keep it simple, so we're just going to keep it with the default one they did, which basically means anything in between the braces is going to be considered part of whatever it is. So it's going to ask you what you want to do first of all, and you can put in whatever you really want in here. In this case, you can put in anything you want. We're just going to actually put in in this case, we're going to actually call it just a keyword. You can really call it whatever else. In this case, like we said, you can always go to insert at the top, and it's going to tell you any kind of extra junk in here, so you can always go for this as well. And there's a lot of different ways to go in and put this in here. You can put it in website, you can put it in edit tag. You can even go to quick tag editor, and it's going to put in some extra stuff here. So you do have a lot of freedom with this. Now, just if we quickly leave it here where it was with the basic one, and we go back to design, you can even edit it in here. You can actually just put it in wherever you want. You can just go ahead and do it here. You can do it here. It's really up to you. So you can actually put in whatever kind of thing you want. So you can go to remove tag, anything. So we had this in here. So there's a lot of freedom with it. You can put it anywhere you want. So you can go and edit tags within there. Now, generally, this one you're only going to do here. So in this case here, we're going to do a meta tag, and we're just going to title it as, in this case, keyword. You can use typically one of two. You're going to do a keyword, or you're going to do a description. You can either do either or. If you're not sure what to do, you can easily Google it, and we're going to do that here just to show you an example as well. So if you Google, it's like how to add a meta tag. And this is, again, just do this. You can see meta tag and HTML, WordPress are all just the basic ones that have come up. So in this case here, you can just really pick any. I'm just going to show you this one here. But as you can see, it's going to show you exactly what it is. So you can add whatever you want really in here. So as you can see, meta tag keyword, blah, 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 whatever you want. So as you can see, we're just actually going to copy and paste this one just to make it easier and show you the easier way to do this because, well, it's always easier if you just copy and paste. And you can really do whatever you want here. So again, just copy and then paste it back in. So as you can see here, we got here. Now for this one here, you can change whatever content you want. Now one thing to keep in mind here, which I'm just going to tell you, you can unload anything you want into it, but standard search engine optimization will actually penalize you if you put too many things. So you want to try and keep anything short, to the point, and very applicable. Now keywords are very, very to the point. So in this case here, because we're doing a demo of a business site, you just call it business. You just call it, say, we're going to call this .easy just because we set this up. So those are quick and easy examples. Now the other way we can set this up is there's another one, which is besides doing meta tag, we're going to actually do just name again. And as you can see here, when we actually type it in this time, it's going to ask us what we want. Now we're going to do description this time, even auto-populate here for us. And then we're going to type properly this time. And actually go to content, and there we go. So everything's in there for us, nice and easy to use. And what we're going to do is we're just going to put a slash in here again. So for this one here, any kind of content. Now the description is a little different. This is going to be about a 1 to 2 word sentence. Very simple, very easy, a quick, just brief description of the site. And this is again used towards showing what it is when someone looks it up in Google and help people find your site. So in this case here, we're going to say here is a demo of the .easy business site. And there we go. So now that we've made these changes, as you can see here, when you go back to design, you're not going to see any difference. Now this is because meta tags actually hide in the back of this. And we're just going to go ahead and save these changes again. Now that we've done that, we're going to go back to FileZilla. We're going to go ahead and then refresh this again just to make sure we have the current version. we're going to go ahead and right click on this file, and we're going to go to upload, and bang, it's on the server again. And we're going to go back to our website once again, and we're going to go back here. We're just going to quickly go back to the home page, and as you can see here, there's no real change at all, as you can see visibly on the page. And as we can see here, we still got the index page here. Again, no visible change, looks the same. Now if we go to the home page, now what you're going to do here, if you want to make any kind of visual check of what it is and make sure it's there, you need to right click on the page and then go to where it says view page source. Now this is going to show you all that little code, garbage, whatever you want to call it, really. It's up to you. Now in the code here, you can see at the very top in line 67, just because same numbers really, you can see we've got the meta tags up there. So here we've got the easy search engine optimization. It's there, it's going to help. Now you do need to do a lot more than just this if you want to be naturally in the top page of Google or Bing or Yahoo, whatever you want to do it. So this is just an example of how you can quite easily set this up. But it is quite easy to get going. You now got a page, you now got a little bit of search engine optimization. So I mean, you should be feeling pretty good at this point. All you need to do is then work a little bit more to get more extra content. But that in its essence is a basic site. You can do this with any of our plans. Very simple, very easy to get up there. If you're not comfortable working with this, because you can see we did play with the source code a bit, or you're not comfortable in Dreamweaver or any kind of website editor, you can really do this in WordPress or any kind of anything else with, say, our unlimited hosting plan or any kind of other plan. Now, one other thing just to quickly point out is you can use any kind of editor, period. We use Dreamweaver. You can use something as basic as Notepad, as you can see here, or what it kind of looks like. So if you're really comfortable or really happy with working with it, this is what you can do. But you can really use anything you want, but that's the site and that's how it works. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a quick recap, because we did cover a lot and it did go over a long time. So what we're going to be doing is just kind of show you a couple things and make sure that you are aware of everything we covered, as there are some things to be important and things to remember. So one thing we're going to quickly show you is now, before you could see that we uploaded a banner and we set that up in Dreamweaver, but we didn't actually put that up to the server. Now the reason specifically for that is because instead of opening a new project within Dreamweaver, we just opened a basic page that was already set up. So if we add anything to it, it's not going to actually add it into the project. There's no file, so it's going to be exactly where it is. So one thing to keep in mind, or maybe even set up first of all, just to go through, is you want to find that picture and get that going. So one thing we've done here is we have got our actual, this is our template where we set it up. Now, as you can see here, there's an images folder. Now, what you want to do is you want to go to wherever it is stored. In this case here, we just have it in the pictures. So as you can see here, here's our picture. So all you want to do is you just want to copy it across and then drop it right in with all the other template images. So that way it's good to go, not to worry. Now, you're not going to see this copy and replace. We're only seeing this because we already set it up here. So that's fine. So you're going to see that, hey, it's now in there. It's good to go. So if you upload the rest of your files through FileZilla, it's actually going to be there. So it is very important that if you're adding any kind of media, whether it's videos, whether it's image files, whether it's any kind of text or any extra pages, do make sure to put it in the rest of the template folder so that it's really easy to manage, really easy to get there. Now, when you're setting it up within Dreamweaver, do make sure that you do use the right link, not to the original one, but to whatever the one you want to set it up in. So say if you drop them all into images folder with an image, make sure you grab that right one, because that's what it's going to be looking for. So that way you don't have that text where we had the alt text set up before. So that is very, very important to remember. You do want to make sure that you do save often, you do back it up, because anyone who's worked on web pages or anyone who's worked on really anything on the computer has gone through that frustration of losing your page or losing your kind of information that you've been doing, or maybe even accidentally deleting it because you're sleepy or something like that. So it is very important to constantly save and make sure you do have that backup copy. Every once in a while, if you do a big change, you may even want to copy that folder you set up and either copy it to the site so you already have something set up, or if you don't want it to show up yet, make a second copy on maybe a flash drive or a different folder on your computer somewhere, just so you do have it. Whenever you're doing any kind of typing or anything like that, just do a quick check for any kind of spelling errors. They are small and they're easy to miss, but it is really critical, especially if you're doing a business site or something, because it does look quite unprofessional if you do have any kind of a typo. And I mean, we all have typos, it happens, so do make sure you do go through. It is important. Do make sure you have all your names set up properly. All lowercase is generally the best way to go. try and avoid spaces because not all browsers recognize them the same. So it is very, very important to have them all done. So those are kind of the main things to work with. If you're doing with any kind of SEO, make sure you read up on it beforehand. You can copy meta tag, kind of like we showed you how to do. Google's got a lot of information on that. If you're working with the source code, definitely make sure you have a backup unless you're really, really comfortable working with it, as it is very, very important to have there as well. If you're working with the source code and you're looking for examples, W3C Schools is a good one to go with. It's going to show you what everything is to work with. So that's kind of a basic overall of things to watch out for. Whenever you're uploading things with FileZilla, make sure you're using the most current version. You can update the folder just like we did, how you saw us constantly going up and back to it. It is very important to have it there when you're uploading things to the server. Make sure you have it in the right folders. So for those of you on cPanel, that's going to be public_HTML. Those of you on nsim, it's going to be main website_HTML. Those are the two to go with. So those are going to make sure that your page loads up properly. Your main page should always be called index.html or index.htm. Make sure it's all in lowercase so that it does show up automatically when someone goes to your site. Do quick runovers of it on your computer, then put it online and do quick checks of it online as well, just to make sure it's all working. Don't assume that because it's working on your computer it will work online. It very well may not, especially if you accidentally select the wrong picture, so one outside of the folders you've set up, or if you're on Windows, you may have used a capital letter somewhere and typed in lowercase as the link, and that can easily screw it up as well. So it is very, very important to double check everything. If you're going through and checking for SEO, it may take a while to see any kind of change for it. It does take time. Google doesn't crawl it non-stop, same as Bing and Yahoo. You can ask them to re-index it, of course, but for the most part, it's going to take a while to build up. There is a lot more to do than what we showed you, but it's a good place to start. Now, this is basically setting it up under our basic hosting plan, which is just you pay for any domain registered with us, whatever extension type you're looking for that we can register, and you get basic hosting with us. So that's really what this is aiming to set up for you. A nice, simple site that looks still fairly well off. I mean, you can set it up for any type of site you're looking for, whether it's for business, whether it's for photography, whether it's for fun or a personal site for you, whether it's for an event, maybe you're even into gaming and looking to set one up for your client. I mean, there's really infinite ways or reasons to set it up, and the sky's the limit. So that's really what it's there for. If you're, say, not as comfortable working with Dreamweaver, an editor like we've showed you here, if you're not comfortable working with the source code, or if you just find it kind of limiting or it's too much to set up yourself, you don't have the time to work on it, you may want to look for something in PHP, which is something like WordPress or something like Joomla. They are very easy to set up, but mainly they focus on more of a graphical interface, meaning it's more of that point and click and what you see is what you get style of site. And they do have a lot of themes and everything set up online that are more geared towards exactly what you're looking like. Because it's all scripted, you do have a lot more flexibility with it. But that's more if you're looking for something to set up that's graphically done rather than something quick and easy you can do through any kind of a thing. Now, naturally, you're going to need for one of our paid hosting. We do have unlimited hosting for that, or cloud hosting if you need as well, so you can set it up that way. But for the premise of basic hosting, which is very cheap and easy to use and a great thing to start out with, especially if you're trying it out, this is what you're mainly going to be looking for and a good place to start. Now, if you're needing any kind of help with this, so you're having trouble uploading files, or if you have something missing like the image when we demoed that earlier, I mean, these are all things you can show up and these are things you can do. You can contact us. We can easily help, take a look at your site, maybe give you an idea as to what's going on or help point out what's having trouble. If you're looking for any kind of an information like what kind of context you should put in the site, that's more really up to you. So we can kind of maybe point you in the right direction, but it's not really our choice, it's yours. So feel free to really do whatever you want. You can take a look on other sites for that, but any kind of support you need on it or any kind of help in getting it up and running, that's really what we're here for. And don't hesitate to contact us back. We again do have live chat, we have phone support, we do have email as well. So contact us whenever you want. You can even leave comments in Facebook or comments for this video. Really, that's what it's here for. We are going to show you how to set up WordPress templates a little later on, so don't fret if you are looking for WordPress and maybe something away from this. We are going to show that to you later, but otherwise that's everything we're here to show you with today. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave them there. We'll help you out. Thank you.